Welcome to I Still Call It a Lariat. This, of course, is a pro wrestling podcast. We are on episode 26. We have passed our silver anniversary. Back with me this week, my tag team partner, the man that makes people quiver, ladies and men, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright. How you doing today, Michael?
I'm living the dream. You're getting spicy over there.
I'm getting spicy. I, of course, am back as host. My name is stevezapf. Michael hosted our Summerslam preview show, as he does upon occasion.
It was wonderful. Steven, you said we passed our silver episode. Is that just a comment of my beard? Is that the way?
I was commenting on your hat, actually.
It's
It's grayish.
Is that heather? Is that called heather?
I think that is the like heather gray. So this is, aside from our preview of SummerSlam, where we made our picks, and I apologize because they're kind of boring picks because they're pretty obvious. This is also our go-home episode.
I wouldn't say that they're obvious, but we just both think very similarly in this. I think other people might choose differently than what we had out there, and I think they have their own swings on it. So recommend you guys checking it out. Tell us why we're wrong and tell us why we're right on that episode. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. I say it in the episode as well, but we want to hear more from you guys. We know that you're listening, so please add to the conversation.
Everybody, comment on the videos. On if you're listening to us, comment to it on whatever streaming service you're using. Comment on our social media apps. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the things. We're everywhere. We're like American Express. We're everywhere you want to be. Or is that Visa? It's one of them. I know one of them you can't leave home without, and one of them's everywhere you want to be.
Either way, it's going to be a 25% APR, so you're in trouble.
Oh, man. So, real quick, before we get into things, let's talk about our nonprofit organization that we are trying to help out. Tap Cancer Out helps out with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabella Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descents, and Tom Coughlin's J Fund. J Fund. As we always say, this is a huge organization. We fully love how much support that has been going into it. And folks, if you can help out at all, again, that information will be in the episode description, as it always is. So please just follow the link. It'll give you options to help with the varying fundraising aspects of it. Outside of that, we do have some bonus episodes coming out. We just did a bunch of bonus content. We had an interview with Lane Rosario. She's an up-and-coming referee. She's been around for a minute, but she's starting to make some big waves. And also, ECW legend, at least in our minds he is. He was one of the ECW senior referees, Jim Molyneux. He's been a trainer. He's worn a lot of hats in this wrestling business. Honestly, if you want some good stories, listen to that episode for us, guys. And we also have the SummerSlam 1992 review episode coming out soon. That is going to probably come out after SummerSlam because we are going to scratch two itches with that one. That is going to be a SummerSlam thing. And because it took place in the original Wembley Stadium, we will cover that for All In Wembley as well. And I may have a surprise interview coming. We have not gotten full confirmation, so until I get full confirmation, but it is looking good, and this is going to be, without a doubt, our biggest interview yet. So
the biggest yet?
The biggest one yet. The most has the most prestige around it. And that's saying
the
something
biggest
because
yet. Does that mean it's the Big Show?
It's not the Big Show.
Is it Shaquille?
Not necessarily the biggest in person. Although I think he is the biggest person that we will have interviewed at this point.
Okay. I'll keep guessing. But I know who it is, so.
Yeah, it's not fair that you're guessing.
Yeah, but I'll never guess the right answer. So
That's fair.
I want to also apologize to the fans. I'm so sorry that I wasn't here last week, everyone. I'm sorry that you had to listen to Steve talk by himself. I know how miserable that can be sometimes. Steve made it seem like I had some personal business to take care of. It was more that I work a day job and he decided to go gallivant with his wife to go see something else. So he recorded late last week. So I wasn't able to make that one last week. Not a big deal. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. You're okay right now. No, you can all stop crying. You can stop sending Steve all the hate mail. He's very sensitive. He doesn't like all.
I got death threats. I didn't get death threats.
They were all just from me from ghost accounts, so it's fine.
Yeah, just our friends just sent me like really mean things, which I'm kind of used to at this point. So it was fine.
That's how it works.
And this is where we're at already. We just started, and let's get to wrestling news. We got some big news coming in around the wrestling world. So, though this kind of falls under AEW because it happened on an AEW show, Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erich boys won the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles. These titles were put up for vacancy when they stripped the Bang Bang Gang of all 9 of their belts. These were 3 of them. The thing about this is the Von Erichs are not under contract with anybody. They have no contract with Ring of Honor. They have no contract with AEW. And the talk that I've been hearing is that they are being looked at by WWE. Which, I mean, after I realize it's a little late to the party at this point, but after Iron Claw came out, I could definitely see that. You can build it a lot more and like you can promote both things. Dustin Rhodes, this is the his last title reign that he'll ever have. He said he's leaving full active wrestling pretty soon.
Wow. Dustin Rhodes is going to die in the ring. He's going to be 106 years old, still putting on matches, bleeding every match. I'll buy it when he's out.
His last match will be against Ric Flair.
No, I'm not saying that, and I don't think it'll be as embarrassing. I think that he'll still be putting on good matches somehow.
He's still putting on good matches now.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't know when we saw the Von Erichs last. Was that a 6-man tag as well, or was
it was Rose a 6-man with manager? Dustin?
It was. So
and it was in Texas as well.
Yeah, so I think I heard a stat that this is the first time a Rhodes and a Von Erich have shared the ring for a title match since like 1986.
That makes sense.
The Funks. So this was a pretty big deal. Those that listen regularly to the show know I'm a huge Legacy guy. The Von Erichs are something special. It's tragically special, but special nonetheless for when they were in the ring. And I would love to see the new generation of Von Erichs really like take the industry by storm, and having a Rhodes in his corner. I pop for that every minute. So really cool that these guys got these titles, and though I think it's kind of weird on how these titles got to them in this situation, but love what they've done here.
So on the other side of that, I know you said that the Von Erichs are kind of a talking point here, and unfortunately the tragedy that goes along with that family name. But one of those things that they don't really show in the Iron Claw is the rock stars that the Von Erichs were. Like, they show that they're famous-ish, but they don't show the level of fame that they had, especially in the Dallas area. In the Dallas area, it was one of those things where they couldn't walk down the street. They couldn't go, they couldn't buy their own drinks for themselves, type of thing. Like, hey, Kerry and Kevin are in town. We're buying them drinks tonight. Like, that's what's happening. They were absolute rock stars. They were as big as any rock band that you could see at that point. And I would love to see Kevin's boys really, really go up the ladder. If they do end up in the WWE, I really, really hope they don't change their names. I hope they keep them Von Erich. I know that's not even their real name, but I hope they stay Von Erichs. I wouldn't even mind if
the new regime could do that, right?
I think so too.
Like I could see Triple H understanding that aspect of things because like they did it with a few wrestlers as they came in. Clearly, they're doing it with Joe Hendry right now, where he already has a name and he's hot with it as he comes in from the TNA side of things. I could see him leaving the Von Erich name. I think that they did a disservice to a couple people coming in by not using their legacy names. I honestly think Braun Breaker is one of those. Like, why isn't he just Braun Steiner or whatever you want to?
And now it's been so long, like now it's been so long, like we almost can't change it.
Exactly. Like so, and when he leaves, he's going to be a Steiner. So like we all know that's going to happen. So I hope they just let them keep the Von Erich thing and they do that flaw.
I could see them. So I could see them doing this, and this would be the little bit of almost like a rib, but I could also see it being taken seriously. They'll still be the Von Erichs, like they'll still use that last name, but I could also see them being the tag team known as the Texas Tornadoes.
Yeah, I see that.
I could see that, and this way they get to keep their name, they get to keep the names that their father gave them, but then they pay the homage to their uncle even, and I could see them doing that. Mm-hmm. Even though the whole Texas Tornado bit was kind of almost like a little bit of a thing that they looked down on at one point. I think if Triple H put that name on them, I think it would be cool. But them being the 6-man tag team titles with the champions with Dustin Rhodes, very cool. I'm big fans of all three of those men. I saw another cool stat. The two Rhodes brothers are champions in 2024 currently, which is insane to think about. In different organizations, also insane to think about. The last time they were champions at the same time was they were tag team champions. Oh, but moving on from that, WWE basically almost sweeps the Bloodsport event. Shayna Baszler and the Creed brothers both win their matches, and Charlie Dempsey taps in his. I think this is kind of telling on the type of character they're making Charlie Dempsey into. It's very similar to something his father would do. He would go in there and put on the most phenomenal match, and then at the end of it, lose. Because it's not going to hurt him one way or another, realistically.
Sure.
To harken back and show our age a little bit, there is a match where Regal, before he went over to WWE, I think is in there with Goldberg.
Steven? Is that Steven Regal?
He was Steven Regal at the time. Lord Steven Regal. And when he had a match where I think Goldberg may or may not have stiffed him a bit. And Regal showed him why he is who he is. So he still lost the match, as he should.
That's not the story that I know. It wasn't because of his stiff. It was because Goldberg was so green, he was hurting people, and they needed to put him out there and actually wrestle somebody. And so what they did was they chose Regal to go out there and stretch him, to go out there and put him through the ringer to like see kind of how he would react. So it was all predetermined before he went out there to go out there and give Goldberg an actual ass kicking, and then obviously do the job to at the end. So that's how I've heard that story. Yeah, of course.
He still did the job at the end. And I mean, if someone's gonna beat the crap out of you, Regal's kind of that guy.
Well, if you think back at that time, the idea of Steven Regal beating Goldberg would have been hilarious. No one ever seen, like, he's the one that beats the streak. He just wrestles circles around him and puts Goldberg down. Like, I love that. Whatever universe timeline that is, I want to go and just hang out there for a couple minutes.
We just watch that match on repeat. Like, just oh, did he just hit him with the Regal stretch? Yes.
It's like, what, he tapped? Goldberg tapped? What's happening here?
Another big thing that happened on this show
Bloodsport, at Bloodsport,
yep,
I think proof
Bloodsport.
that stem cells work for healing people, because MVP seems like he's ready to get back into the ring.
He
he challenged Josh Barnett, and Josh Barnett accepted.
This is going to be huge.
MVP's contract with that company that he wouldn't name is almost up. So it looks like he's not going back to WWE. It looks like he's going out here. He's going to have a match, which he hasn't been in the ring in a long time. And, this all kind of seems like it's hinting towards him reuniting with Sheldon Benjamin in AEW with Bobby Lashley. And I don't know if you know this, but you know that there was somebody else that they were thinking about adding to this group originally. Because there's who's the one person with is this the Hurt Locker? Is that the name of their group? I wasn't
Hurt Business.
Watching the Hurt
Business. It was Sheldon Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, and Cedric Alexander was
Cedric, who's under contract.
He's still under contract.
They wanted someone else to be in the group as well. They chose the latter, but they also wanted to see if they could sneak Ricochet into this group. And now maybe it's time that Ricochet joins the Hurt Business in his way to AEW. Could be an interesting thing.
That could definitely be interesting. I'm nervous of how they would book it in general. Just because a lot of these guys that come in, they get a lot of steam, and then they kind of get pushed down the card. Or, I hate to say it, a lot of them get hurt. A lot of these guys, the AEW style of wrestling, unfortunately, is conducive to injuries.
Well, not just that. So I had heard something that I thought sounded crazy at the time, but I kind of get it a little bit too, where the fact that the WWE kind of wrestlers wrestle so frequently, it kind of keeps them constantly warmed up. Whereas since AEW takes more time off in between their matches, they kind of cool down, and that's part of the reason why they get hurt a little bit more. I don't know if that's true or not, but I
have heard that, and it does sound valid, but also a lot of these AEW guys, they have contracts in which they can go other places.
Sure.
So it's kind of on, like, and I'm not saying for the Will Ospreys who are there on Dynamite and then they go back to England and then they come back for Dynamite and then they go back to England. I get it. Like, him
afraid
not
of the grind,
wrestling.
You're saying.
Yeah, he is like the grind. But like a lot of these guys, especially some of this younger talent, the fact that they're not going out other places when they can, I don't know. It seems like they're disservicing themselves at that point because they're not getting the reps in that they should. So, but I mean, we'll see. And the last thing for my overall wrestling news, it seems like Beth Phoenix might be hinting at making a comeback possibly in AEW. I think she would be a welcome addition to any women's locker room. I think she can absolutely still go. I think they need to make sure they know a direct path for the women's division. And if she gets there, though, she either needs to be in the world title picture or be in the TBS title picture or be the person that is the person to be the wall that you have to get over to get to one of those titles, like the main event picture. Like, hey, maybe Beth Phoenix isn't fighting for the world title or the TBS title, but you have to put on a good program with Beth Phoenix to show that you're good enough to go after, Britt Baker or Mercedes Moné or Toni Storm or Mariah May or whoever it is at this point. So I could see that. And I mean, she's still, I've seen her have some matches as recently as I think a year or two ago, and she's still in great shape. She's still able to go. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening here. Because I'm not sure what her contract looks like or if she's on some type of Legends contract. So, outside of the wrestling world, we move on to one of the main 3 American promotions, and that's TNA. I feel like this show has championed TNA about as well as anyone has at this point, because
I'm with you.
You and I have kind of said this, and we've said it on the show, and we've said it to each other. TNA has probably the best balance of storyline and matches that you can go for. They keep us involved with good storylines and good matches, and whether it's a matter of talent or money, I think I think if they had, like you said, better production and they didn't have Albany fans.
Albany TNA fans.
I was just trying to trigger them on that one. If they didn't have those situations, honestly, they'd probably be the best wrestling program on television right now.
They just need the talent, in my mind. Like, all the premium talent is elsewhere. Where they have some really strong people. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to throw any shade. And I do think that usually the best match of the week is on TNA. But I think that there's something. I think the production quality really holds them back, and they need a few other people. Like, honestly, Bobby Lashley going back here and doing the Hurt Business here would be way better than them going to AEW. It would elevate this place so much. I could see the Hurt Business versus the System being a huge
like if the Hurt
feud.
Business came in and just blew out the System one night and was like, "Hey, this was ours first. You're just doing a watered down version of what we were already doing."
100%. Like, that would be dope. Like, I think that would help. That I think it would elevate both of them a way that I'm with you. Going to AEW, they'll be hot for a month, and then they'll waste the next 3 years kind of in the mid-card.
But TNA, we got some bigger news out of this past week on TNA. Mustafa Ali, almost said his name the wrong way, I'm sorry. Mustafa Ali challenged brand new TNA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Nemeth. And apparently that match will be happening next week. That's big. I think that match is going to be a banger. They're both hot right now. They both put on great matches. I'm really, really excited on the aspect of seeing, because like you said, you didn't think Mustafa was going to lose the X Division title because he was so hot. I think, and I had said, and this is where I thought they were going to go with it, if he loses it, he goes directly after the world title, which is what they're doing. And I could see this being a program for a while.
Yeah, so I didn't get to give TNA the props of how wrong we both were on our predictions. Now, we don't follow TNA as closely as we do the other two brands. That's obviously, we try to champion them. We try to watch it as much as possible. But man, were we so off Samsonite. It really was really surprising some of the things they did. And also, no, I don't think that they buried Joe Hendry. I think that this is actually better than building. This is a better long build than just giving him the title because he's hot today. So I like kind of what they're doing. But Steve, I have a question for you. This November's elections, are you voting for Mustafa Ali? Like, he's the type of guy that will represent you.
I'm not. I'm going to vote for someone I believe in.
Oh,
and I believe in Joe Hendry.
He's not in politics. He's not in politics.
I'm writing him in. I believe Joe Hendry. I think he could do great things for this country.
I believe
it hurts that he's not an American citizen, or he's not born in America.
You could do anything if you believe.
252 pounds of inspiration.
Just saying.
I don't know how he never gains a pound or loses a pound.
He's definitely like 20 pounds lighter than that right now. Let's be real.
All right, let's. So the last thing I have on here for TNA, and I wanted to ask you this, Showtime. Could TNA be the number 2 promotion in America? I'm not asking if they are. AEW
They're
is
clearly not.
They're clearly not. AEW is clearly the number 2 promotion in America right now. And that's not a knock on AEW, that being the number 2 promotion when WWE is the number 1 promotion in the world is still a pretty good place to be. What I am asking is, do you think if TNA got some type of influx of money, was able to bring in some of this talent that AEW and WWE are so clearly just able to take because they have the funds. They got, again, because our thing is they just need some star power and some production quality. I don't even think they need that much. They just need it to look like it's a professional product with a few more stars. Like if they had like, truthfully, maybe 3 more people, I think they could make a real. If they got R-Truth in there, if
former TNA World Champion, NWA Champion,
if Ron the Truth Killings came back to TNA, that could be huge.
So to answer your question in short, sure, anyone could be number 2. It's going to be a large mountain to climb to be number 1. Like some crazy stuff needs to go down for that to happen anytime soon. The longer answer to that is here's their path, in my opinion. Number 1 is production quality. Their production quality, I think they need a lot of work. They got to stop all the pre-taping. You could do some pre-taping, but they rely on the pre-taping an awful lot. You need to elevate the quality of the content that's going on. I love their balance. You're right. They have the best balance of wrestling to promos, I think, out there. And I dig their wrestling style. Their style is very much a style I like to watch.
I think it's a nice blend.
I think they need to bring in a substantial amount of talent because you also got to figure right now they're doing once a week a 2-hour show. In order to be number 2, I think you need more than that. You need probably a 3-hour show and a 2-hour show, and they just do not have the talent to do that. And that's going to be like doubling the roster. And doubling the roster with more of like a 60-40 split of topper tier guys, because I think right now it's the other way around with lower tier guys. So there's some guys that they can make here, like somebody like a Jake something could be great with the right people around him. Right now he feels like a mid-tier guy at TNA. ABC is another good example that they feel kind of mid-tier, but if you put them against more quality people, I could see them getting elevated. So I buy that path. Joe Hendry in his own right. I know we talk a lot about him and joke a lot about him. I still want to see a bit more out of him from the ring. Like his mic skills are fantastic. I believe in that. His concerts are great. His matches, I feel like he has some edges to smooth out, and I think that'll come, particularly if he decides to go to NXT after this contract's out. I could see him doing great things in WWE. But I think he still has some learning to do on that front. So all of that to say is that's kind of the path I see in order for them to get there. I don't think they'll need to do as much as AEW needed to do to get to where they are. They kind of had to force a lot because they didn't exist beforehand. And TNA has a legacy. Like they've been around, they're around longer than WCW was around. So kind of looking at it that way, I could see them coming back, but it's going to take a lot of work and dedication. It will take a decent amount of money, and that's things that I don't think are going to happen anytime soon.
I think money. It's going to come down to money at this point, and I think that's the one thing that they're missing. That they can't fight with the other 2 spots if they're really looking to bring in some talent. The only thing that they can really, really offer at this point for some of these guys is maybe creative freedom. And even that's a risky bet to put on somebody, because now all of a sudden if you have this plan, and whether or not it's a good plan or it's a bad plan, if this guy doesn't want to go through with it, in the words of Hulk Hogan, not tonight, brother.
Not tonight, brother. Tonight. Yeah, and I also think they need to watch out with the NXT partnership right now. Because they're pretty close to just showing that they're second tier to NXT, which is already WWE's second tier. And so, like, if they keep jobbing out to some of their people, I can see that hurting them more than helping them. Though, in theory, in the best case scenario, this partnership is actually way better for TNA than it is for NXT.
So they've been getting a little bit more even with it. They've been bringing around some more people to, again, like not just Joe Hendry, but they let the Rascals come in, and they've won a couple matches on both TNA and NXT. So they're starting to get a little bit more even keel, I guess it would be. Like, I didn't think that Jordynne Grace was going to win that match, but at this against Roxanne Perez. But at the same time, I could have seen that actually winning that match. Jordynne Grace is a star. That's the thing, is they have some actual bona fide stars, and I think they need more than what they have.
Sure, and if NXT has such a working relationship, once their contracts are out and they can scoop those people up, then they won't have those stars. So it's just things to watch out for. That's all. It's the plot holes to not be kind of a feeding ground, to kind of be that ECW where you constantly had really great talent, really breaking the norms of wrestling, and then the big boys just steal your talent from right underneath you, and then you have to start rebuilding every single year.
Speaking of stars that are on NXT, Joe Hendry's supposed to be doing a concert in NXT this week.
Can't wait.
Pretty much doing it as we are recording, basically.
Yeah, probably.
So
it's right now.
We can.
I
hope
you are the
watch that
the person
afterwards.
singing about.
I want to see who he's going to be singing about. Hopefully,
it's going to be about you, Steven.
I hope so. I will take great honor in him insulting me with song.
I believe.
I believe. Now, we were just talking about who could be the number 2 promotion in America. To go along with that, let's talk about the actual number 2 promotion. And in America, MJF started off Dynamite this week by debuting the American Championship. America. He talks about how great Long Island is. I've been to Long Island. I don't know what he's talking about, but it might be the fact that you and I are both diehard Rangers fans, and everything about the Islanders is a grr moment for us.
That 100%. I actually redubbed this American Championship the Troll Championship, because I think that he's just putting this out here to troll everybody. He's going to be defending it, I think, next in Mexico, or if that hasn't happened already. I
think he said he was going to take CMLL, I think.
Yeah, and he's going to take this to a couple places around the world, and I think that he's doing it just to be a jerk and troll everybody. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I've heard people worry about this and the International Championship both surviving this whole thing where, like, they've introduced a new title. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is just a short-term title where they're going to turn it back into the International Championship after Will Ospreay beats him at Wembley, and or whatever ends up happening there. So I think that one of them gets sunsetted after that match, regardless which way it goes. But at the end of the day, I think we have MJF doing what he does best and just trolling everybody.
I could definitely see that. I think the American Championship, first of all, I think it's a cool looking belt. I definitely think it's a cool looking belt. The only thing, me and you talked about this before, the only thing I don't like about the whole title is that the side plates have actual insults on them. But if this is like you said, if this title gets sunsetted eventually, then I'm totally fine with it.
It's like the Troll Championship.
But if this is going to be where the future of the title goes to, the I'm better than you and the UK knows it is kind of, again, like you said, the Troll Championship. That's the only thing that I don't really like about the belt. If this was to be a real like United States Championship belt, I'd be all about it.
Yeah. Which
but
I don't think
as
it is.
of right,
so nothing to worry
but
about.
I don't think it's going to be sticking around. I think this was just like you said, this was just to kind of troll fans, and we will see what happens from there. I am really enjoying how they're building the MJF Will Ospreay feud just in general. I think they're doing the right thing. The only thing that I'm worried about is that they're either going to have MJF defend against Pac before Wembley, or he's kind of going to get lost in the mix on this one, because I really want to see Pac be presented as a viable challenger for the title and maybe winning. I'm just saying he's quickly becoming one of my favorite wrestlers to watch on AEW. You're on mute.
No, it wasn't. Am I? You hear me?
You're good.
If Pac is going to win this title, it's going to be an all out. They won't do it beforehand. It'll be after MJF and Will Ospreay do their thing, and then he'll win it then. Though I think it's a shame that he's not doing it at All In, because that's kind of what he won the right to do. But now there's no rules in AEW, so they do what they want.
No rules. All rules. We get Jericho versus Minoru Suzuki. They put on possibly the most boring match ever. They did 8 minutes.
Just hearing about that match.
7.5 minutes worth of chops. Just straight.
Speaking of trolling, I think Chris Jericho is trolling everybody. He's doing a fantastic job doing it. And he is just looking to get a rise out of everybody because he's annoyed that they keep turning on him, or he just thinks that's funny. And he's like, I'm gonna troll everybody.
Maybe I am just one of the sheep at this point. I'm just so I need Jericho to go away for a little bit. I really do.
He's just teaching you what a boring match looks like, so you can recognize it.
Week after week. He's teaching me week after week. It actually started when he put Samoa Joe through a wall.
It definitely didn't start there. That was the most exciting thing he's done. With a forklift.
Yeah. Is the forklift part of the learning tree?
It should be. It's what transports the learning tree.
Oh man. We get a segment with Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander, where Statlander attacks her, and Stokely says he wants a title eliminator next week for Willow's newly won CMLL title, which obviously she won the vacant title after who was it? Stephanie Vaquer vacated. Yeah. So I guess that was their answer to that. We're getting more title eliminators, so there's that.
I think that Statlander wins this one.
I think Statlander wins this one. My issue is that Willow actually has another title eliminator at Collision that week. So she wrestled a title eliminator against Taya Valkyrie, won, and then now has a title eliminator on this upcoming Wednesday. So we're just getting title eliminators. I also get that it's a CMLL title. They probably don't want it defended all the time in America, but then you shouldn't have entered the working agreement at the same time.
Yeah, shouldn't have given it to Willow.
Should not have given it to Willow in that case. And I'm not saying Willow doesn't deserve that title. I think the world of Willow Nightingale. I think she is the future of the women's division. I think she's going to do really, really great things. It's another title that's getting defended or not defended on AEW television. And there's a lot of titles that have no real connection to AEW other than the fact that it's working relationship. During Dynamite, we got a Jeff Jarrett giving Bryan Danielson a pep talk. This kind of goes along with some of the news that me and Showtime have been hearing, and that's that Bryan Danielson is not in the best shape right now.
He broken.
It doesn't surprise me. If he can't go at Wembley, this is a whole lot of buildup that they went into with this for kind of nothing. And I honestly don't know who they would throw in his stead. Correction.
Hangman Page.
I do know. You think he'd be Hangman Page?
Yeah, he's the one that lost the finals of the Owen Hart Cup. He has all the heat with Swerve Strickland. It'd be super easy to throw those guys in there together. I don't think they would think twice.
That's a better option than I was thinking, and I'm glad you said it because that's so much better than what the path I was going to go down. Because unfortunately, the other option I think would have been Jon Moxley.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I think there's so many other people they could put there instead. You can throw a rematch for Samoa Joe. I know he's off TV, but you can kind of figure. I don't know if he's hurt.
He put him through a wall.
Whatever. It's Joe.
I've seen Joe run through a wall before.
Yeah, the wall won't be back anytime soon, but Joe will. There's a ton of people that you can kind of put in there. Darby won a number one contendership battle royal, right? That happened.
I think it was for the TNT title.
Oh, is that what it was? It was for the TNT
title? I think Darby won a number one contendership for the TNT title because he's chasing down Jack Perry.
Switch that around. There is no. I think it was for the world title. But I could be mistaken. And I won't look it up now. But there is plenty of people. Hell, just throw Jeff Jarrett in there. Pep talk.
I also don't think there's any way Danielson misses this match unless he's got a peg leg, and even then he might still try to wrestle.
I worry that he wins. He gets this match. He wins this match, and then vacates the title, which I just think would be so lame.
You'll get another tournament.
Sure, I love a good tournament, but I love a good tournament.
That's a key word there. We haven't gotten.
Yeah.
So I actually did like both sides of the Owen Hart tournament. It could be that I like the title belts that they get afterwards. Like I know there are times I come down hard on AEW for having so many different title belts, but I like that at the end of the Owen tournament you get a title belt. Like it gives it a feel of difference, where it's not a reason to just have. It's not just another reason to have 32 belts running around there. Outside of Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, I'm sorry. I think he's gonna wrestle that match. I think he's showing up. I wouldn't be surprised if that's him even putting it out there.
His last match.
Yeah, I could see this. I could see him even losing it and being like, "Hey, I gotta hang it up now," and like they'll that's their pivot for this.
Leave his shoes in the ring, his boots in the ring.
Yep, his fuzzy kick pads. He has fuzzy kick pads.
Fair.
So we get Camille, former NWA Women's Champion, debuting finally. She finally debuts and jumps Britt Baker, hits her with a torture rack. She is apparently the bodyguard for Mercedes Moné. Camille has a lot of the same traits that you see in someone like a Jade Cargill. She has size, she has power, she has beauty. She's, she hits a lot. She checks a lot of those boxes. She has been wrestling in the NWA for the last couple of years, and before that, she was trained at with Devon Dudley, I believe. She was down here in Florida for a lot of that, and she was doing a lot more than what Jade was doing. So we'll see a little bit more of kind of a cleaner wrestling style, at least for right now. She's like I said, she's got star written all over, and I don't see her standing behind Mercedes very long. So be exciting to see that kind of get switched up. And they closed off the show with Blood and Guts, which was a train wreck, as it was expected to be. AEW won Blood and Guts. I'm going to say it, and I know I'm going to get bashed on this one, or someone is going to bash me somewhere in the world. I don't understand why a match like this was on free television. I get that you need ratings, but also a match like this is not the match you want to present when you're up for a renewal on your television contract. This is not to
set Jack Perry on fire again.
That's what I'm saying. Like, regardless, they're not bringing in new fans with this match. This is the match that brings in all of their people who are not going to buy Wembley. I'm just saying, like, literally one of the arguments I had with an AEW fan that I work with at my daytime job is, come on, man, I'm broke. Just let me see some of these matches for free. I get what you're saying, bang for your buck. At the same time, that's not good business practice. Like, they need to start doing, I don't know. I also didn't enjoy the fact that they did comedy spots during this match. You're in the middle of two cages in a double ring, and they're doing comedy spots. They did a full-on comedy spot with Okada. He went to do the Rainmaker, and when he spun him around, he just flipped off Strickland. And then Strickland pulled up a staple gun and stapled him.
He loves that. He loves throwing the figure out.
It was dumb. It's not my type of match. I get it. I'm glad that AEW won instead of the Elite in this case. Like, it gives more storyline building. I mean, the Bucks are still never going to lose those tag team titles. AEW is going to go out of business. The Bucks are still going to have the tag titles.
You have to defend them to lose them.
That's what I'm saying.
Same thing with Okada.
I mean, he might lose it during the next tournament for the Continental Championship, because apparently they're still going to have a tournament for it every year. So there's that. FTR this past week on Collision returned to in-ring competition. That's cool. You and I are both FTR fans. They returned with their cool long tight gear, which I do like that. I always am a fan of their gear. I have on here that during this during this episode of Collision, they did the Willow title eliminator. So they have a residency at the eSports Arena, and they're going to be there for all of their Ring of Honor shows, all of their AEW Collision shows. It's in Arlington, Texas, I believe. It's not quite where all the stadiums really are. It's kind of a little outside of where like AT&T Stadium and the baseball stadiums and stuff are, if I'm thinking of where it is specifically. I like this arena because it's a smaller arena, and I've been saying this for AEW for a while now. They needed to do a smaller venue a little bit more. I don't like this venue because it's a completely flat arena. It's made for esports. It's made for concerts and things, like smaller concerts and things to that effect. And I was actually going to say this about TNA, but I wanted to wait until I got to this point for it. TNA has this problem with this too. This is part of their production. For these flat arenas like this, where they are hosting a smaller thing, why is this such an issue for, especially with AEW, with their owners being billionaires? They can't buy $15,000 like movable bleachers to put into a place like this. It just seems like a good investment. You know what I'm saying? And I say the same thing about TNA. A lot of those buildings that TNA runs, part of the production problem is the fact that they're all like these flat buildings. And I'll say this about the ECW arena. The ECW arena, or I'm sorry, the 2300 arena, as it is now known, because they won't call it ECW anymore. That building was so great because at the time, ECW had outfitted it with these higher bleachers and stuff like that. But when these other places are going to run it, they don't put that in there. So it's just this flat floor, and it doesn't work the same way. And it gives it a very bad look. Like you have the jib camera and the hard camera and stuff, but when they show other sides, you see like this black wall, and it just doesn't work for me. I think the size of this arena is perfect for AEW, especially for Collision, where they're drawing less people. I think the arena itself is not the right choice for them, but I appreciate that they are trying something new. What are you thinking on that one, Showtime?
Yeah, I like that they're going to kind of have their own residency there. I don't have a strong feeling with you. I do think that you need to set up your arena so it fits your product. So I don't disagree much. I also don't think I care as much as you clearly do in this specific instance as well. But I do agree that the product hurts when you don't set up the arena correctly. You know, being ring crew guys, I guess we take that. Take that a little bit closer to it. It looks
small time. That's my issue.
Sure.
Is when you have just that flat floor out there. Unfortunately, it doesn't look any different than any other indie building that you're going to go to at that point.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm with you. I think it needs to be set up correctly, and I think it needs to elevate the product. That's the arena is just as much a part of anything as the ring, as the workers, as the Titantrons, or whatever you call them. So aligned with all of that, but AEW has other problems I want them to fix first.
All right, Showtime. With that, let's move across the street, and we'll start talking about WWE stuff. We've got SmackDown this past Friday. The show opened up with LA Knight versus Santos Escobar, and the match ended with Logan Paul jumping LA Knight and kind of leaving him lying. Again, this is not the go home show for SummerSlam for SmackDown. They still have one more left, but I always feel like the show just before is usually pretty tame, just because you don't want anyone to get hurt. This was kind of the last big thing that'll happen between Logan Paul and LA Knight, I feel like.
I miss when A-Town Down Under was kind of Logan Paul's like stable. I know they weren't a real stable, but they were like kind of together for the Mania match and stuff like that.
I did like that. It seemed to work perfectly.
They should I feel like their tag team title run would have been better if Logan Paul was more a part of it.
So next big thing that happened was Bianca and Jade come out and call out Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They get jumped. They turn the tables on them. I laughed because Corey Graves makes an Eddie Izzard comedy reference, because Jade press slams one of them onto the other one, and he goes, "In heels nonetheless."
In heels nonetheless.
And I kind of cracked up about it. I wanted to ask
freshly
you about
squeezed this, mango juice.
She vetoed my virginity. I wanted to ask you about the Jade Bianca dynamic lately, because I believe the whole point to put Jade with Bianca was to kind of get Jade up to the level that Bianca was at one point.
Sure.
And I almost feel, and you can correct me if you think differently on this one, but it feels more like it's done the opposite. It's brought Bianca down more than it's brought Jade up. And this is me asking someone else if I'm just being too critical of the situation, but it kind of feels like this is dragged Bianca down from a very, very clear-cut main event status to a very, very clear-cut mid-card, lower mid-card status.
So I don't think so. I don't think that Jade has become as successful as the idea was. Like, get her up to speed, get her to do all those things. So, like, I don't think that side you're wrong. The part that I disagree with is you put Bianca up against Rhea and actually have Bianca win. I don't think anyone's like overly shocked. I think this is just kind of keeping Bianca on the back burner until they're ready to bring her back into the main event. So I don't think it's hurting her in any way. I don't think she seems like a mid-card talent. These two have like absolutely dominated everybody that they've been with. So, and like even losing the title, I think that that happened. They won that match, and Isla Dawn just kind of, or I don't remember who won it, but just kind of snuck in the win, which I called. So in this situation, I think they'll have these tag team titles back soon. They'll get it quickly. The thing that I think they dropped the ball with was they should have won the tag team titles back the following SmackDown. Like this whole kind of dancing around it, not giving them an immediate title shot back. They were the champions and didn't lose the titles. They just kind of mishandled the two of them. So like I think that's really more the problem because every time they're in the ring with somebody else, they squash the shit out of everybody.
That might really be more what it is. Like I don't think we've seen them wrestle, but we haven't seen them wrestle as a tag team since they lost the tag team titles, realistically.
Yeah. They kind of put them, maybe someone got hurt. Maybe they needed a little bit of a break. Maybe they were doing.
Well, no, because they were both in the Money in the Bank stuff, the qualifiers.
Sure. You're right.
It's just, like I said, and that's why I wanted to ask. It feels, I was watching the promo beforehand, and as everything was kind of happening, I'm like, I don't get like the chills off of Bianca that I used to get. Like it used to be one of those things where I was like, yeah, she is hands down a star in this business. And like my critiques on Bianca were so like nitpicky, minimal. And now I just feel like I'm almost lumping her in with Jade lately. And I don't want to do that to either one. I don't want to disservice either one of them with the way that we're critiquing, and in this case, I'm critiquing their performances.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I just think that they don't know what to do with either of them right now because there's other people in the title picture and there's no secondary title. The tag team titles what they have. They don't have a strong women's tag team division in general, in my opinion. And certainly not one strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Jade and Bianca in a big way. That's why some of those matches kind of come off a little strange to me because like they'll be in these squash matches. They'll even do squash spots, but then like they get tossed out. They have to lay on the ground for 10 minutes in Jamo. So like those are kind of some of the ways they handle it, I think is incorrect. And so I agree. And I understand where the sentiment's coming from. But at the end of the day, I think that Bianca's just as strong as ever. And you put her in the right spot. No one bats an eye when she squashes Naomi.
It'd be a quick turnaround, basically. Like she's there right now because that's where they have her. But like once she kind of gets back to that, if she decided to turn back around into a main event status, she'd be a main event.
It's one match. It's one match. Yeah. Like it's one match to put her back in there, and like the two of them are going to win these titles back, and they're going to just run through everybody and trying to build that
until they retire those titles.
I mean, like the only people I can see like taking them off them straight up is maybe Nia and Tiffy. Like who is going to take those titles off them? Yeah, like that's like the one that I could see teaming up. But if you listen to the predictions, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what they would do in that front. And who would be the good person? It might have to be returning like Charlotte Flair and somebody else, or like Charlotte and Becky to win the titles off.
Who knows? Other tag teams that are involved on SmackDown, the Bloodline, but not not both Tonkins. Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu earn a tag team title match. I have written here, Jacob Fatu continues to impress me. He hit a world's best moonsault, or best moonsault ever, to win the match. This is absurd. He's not supposed to hit stuff like that. He's not supposed to hit a lot of the things that he's hitting. And they finally got a good enough shot of him like standing next to Solo a few times where you really see he's a good 2 to 3 inches taller than Solo is. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I think this is, I think a lot of this is also the best thing for them in the sense that Tonga Loa is just not doing great work.
He's injured, isn't he? He hurt his eye.
So the eye thing was when they jumped Kevin Owens raked the eye. I think that's a work injury. But I think the work injury was to keep Tonga Loa out of some of these matches for a while. Like, hey, we're gonna keep giving you a payday, but your services aren't really needed right now.
Okay. I can see that. I took that as not a work. Eye injuries aren't usually the strongest work injury. So that one, I think he might actually be hurt, but who knows?
I mean, he might have actually had something, but I think they're looking for reasons to not use him as often.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be the weakest member of the Bloodline, basically.
What I feel bad for is DIY, because they finally got their hands on these titles, and I think they're going to take them right away.
And Jacob Fatu's going to beat them by himself.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a squash. And it's going to...
Tonga Loa will botch something and not being in the match.
Yeah, but Tamba Tonga is going to make weird barking noises, and Jacob Fatu is going to destroy everyone in the world.
That's a shame. That these tag team titles were getting passed around, but they'll stay. I think they'll stay with the Bloodline for a while.
I think they'll stay with the Bloodline until we get some type of resolution with this Bloodline feud thing that they seem to be
Usos
building towards.
Versus them at something. I don't know.
At something. We got Nia and Tiffany team tag team beating Bayley and Michin. Nia looks strong. She pinned Bayley. She didn't just pin anybody. She pinned the champ. So this could be
not gonna win.
I don't know. I think this could be a preview. And now over to the go home episode of Monday Night Raw. Show starts off with CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre all going over Seth's referee rules. So Showtime, I feel like this was one of the first promos that Punk has actually cut that sounded semi-babyface, at least somewhat. And as I was saying, I really feel like the line that he has here where he talks about Drew kind of dumbing himself out of situations. He talks about how he had WrestleMania 1 and he did that to himself, which he's kind of right. Doesn't, again, it always comes down to Drew's hypocrisy in this, right? That's the only thing that kind of makes Drew a heel in any type of situation of this is he says he talks about being bashed about something or doing something, Seth not paying enough attention to him, and then the reason why he gets cashed in on is because he's not able to just see the forest for the trees, and he has to go mess with CM Punk instead of just celebrating his WrestleMania win in front of 70-something thousand people. The line he has, though, I know I'm repeating this, is, Drew, the problem with you is that I'm your enemy. I'm the guy standing in front of you. I'm your enemy, but I'm not your worst enemy. Your worst enemy is the guy that looks you in the mirror every day. And I thought it was such a killer line, the way he delivered it and everything. Like, it was
that's one of those heel line. What do you mean the face line? Like, he sounds like a face.
So he sounds like what you think
is the best heel out there. It's the heel that doesn't believe he's the bad guy, which is exactly what you're describing right now. You're describing your perfect heel. CM Punk is the heel in this story. Well, you sheep, wake up. Come on, sheeple.
CM Punk. CM. You're so mad about it.
It's so dumb. I feel the Blue Steel, Ferrari, La Tigra. It's all one look. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
We overall good segment. I like the fact that they put the stipulation in that they can't touch each other until SummerSlam. It's definitely added. I always like that type of thing, when especially you got Punk, who's just coming off of injury, kind of a little bit injury prone. He's not the youngest dude on the roster. Maybe it's a good idea to make sure that your big money match is guaranteed at this point.
I would like to see them be put in a tag team match together, because they can't fight each other. But then have it where McIntyre would tag him because he's not allowed to touch him.
I see
and
that.
Like leave him at the dry. That would have been funny.
We get Liv trashing the Judgment Day clubhouse. I know you keep saying you don't want to keep seeing Dom as an idiot, but it doesn't seem like they're changing anything anytime soon.
No, they certainly aren't.
Because you had him and Carlito both looking like morons walking around the clubhouse. I don't know what happened.
She just trashed the thing she bought them, right? She bought that PlayStation or whatever.
Yeah, she bought all that stuff for them.
Yeah, she bought all that stuff.
So we get a vignette that goes along with this of Liv burning all the stuff that she took out of there, and talks about Dom breaking her heart and how he's just Rhea's bitch, which isn't really wrong. But again,
was she boiling bunnies here too?
I think she was boiling bunnies. This is obvious. This has got to just be another Swerve, right? Like this, not Swerve the wrestler, Swerve the.
Well, I don't want to give up what we put in the other show for the predictions for SummerSlam, but yeah.
Yeah, it feels like this was the only thing that Liv has done since the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour has kind of started, that this felt the fakest out of everything. I've been pretty good about giving Liv her flowers over the last couple months now, since she's been doing some of this stuff, and this was I don't know if it was the lines, if it was just her acting in this. It was just, I don't think it was. This was not my favorite thing that she's done.
We talked about it on the prediction show. I'll show my cards a little bit. I think that they're setting up perfectly Dom double crossing Rhea, but then once he does so, you're gonna have Liv say she was never into him in the first place, and like this is just her revenge. She told everybody that it was just her revenge. He should have seen it coming. Blah blah blah. So this fakeness, I actually see it making sense, and it's because she's like acting. She's acting. Is that the way to say it? Like She's acting, obviously, but she's pretending she's acting while she's acting.
Like she's acting like she's acting. It's just it's. So that whole thing though that led to Carlito versus Jey Uso, who they're not even calling main event Jey Uso anymore
because he's not.
Has been a main event in a minute, and Dominic versus Sami Zayn. Both of which pretty entertaining matches overall.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a little bit more onto the Dom and Sammy match later. The Jey Uso Carlito match was it was a nice little short match. It was kind of exactly what I thought it would be. We got an apple spit when he speared him. It's kind of where we're at. We finally get some actual action out of the Wyatt Six this week, which they're finally giving you what you want, even though you're not getting a match until next week.
Next week, we're gonna get a match. 6 minutes.
Master Gable.
That's what I got.
Master Gable has figured it out. He's figured out who all these guys are. I like that we finally got some type of physical abuse out of this. Like there had to be something. They couldn't just keep doing psychological stuff for another 4 or 5 weeks. They did another cool video segment on this one as well for them. I thought that was good with Dexter Lumis. I like that Dexter Lumis has actually grown his hair out for this part. He didn't always have like the dreads and stuff like that. He actually had a pretty clean cut look for the most part, aside from his even weirder than Dominic mustache. Pete Dunne laid out Sheamus with a shillelagh.
Like you do.
So there's like you do. Well, I mean, that's what you do when you're, half the size of the other guy. Braun Breaker had a really, really good segment during this. I like that the way he cut his promo during his solo segment was the night before our SummerSlam match, you're doing a stand-up comedy show, and I'm going to be in the gym training, getting ready for you. I don't think, and I like how he said it. I like that he said, like, you're not taking this seriously enough. And I like Sammy's retort to it. Well, I did the same thing the last time I beat you, so maybe I'm doing the right thing here. I like that Sammy got the better of Braun Breaker this week. That was kind of cool. I think that was nice in the go home. Let's see, Damage Control returned. It was a weird flip. They were kind of presented as baby faces for no reason.
They have absolutely no idea what to do with Damage Control.
None. And they just had them come out against Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks. And there was just no reason for it. I don't think they know what to do with Damage Control. Asuka still on the shelf for right now. They have no idea what to do with that. They're talking about maybe winning the tag team titles again. I'm like, you're not. I don't know what you guys are doing. It's such a weird stable at this point. Just before this, they were talking about like a change of scenery for them. I don't know. Everything with Damage Control, it just seems very confusing, and
they botched the whole Bayley storyline, and it all started like I feel like Damage Control was so hot for so long, and like it was so dominant. Then they were like, all right, let's take Bayley out of the picture because they could still handle it without Bayley. They couldn't handle it without Bayley. They couldn't handle Bayley without Damage Control at that point in time. Like literally getting her. Like, I think that Bayley needs a little bit of a break from TV because I think they just don't know what to do with her. They need to reset, kind of give people a little bit of time with her away. Let Nia and like take that title or have Tiffany take that title, whoever it ends up being, and kind of move on, let her take a breather, and then maybe have her come back and challenge for the tag team titles.
And our main event of the night, we got Gunther versus Finn Balor. This match has been 4 years in the making. They were actually supposed to wrestle when he was still Walter for the NXT UK title. And then pandemic hit and no one could go anywhere. So they were supposed to have this match forever ago. And everyone's been kind of really excited about this match, that we were going to finally get it. It was a really good match. Unfortunately, it was still a WWE TV match, which means we got about 2 minutes of action.
Shenanigans.
Then they went to the commercial. We got a clean finish with Gunther beating him. And then he wouldn't release the sleeper hold and still like kind of kept going after him. So Priest comes out and that leads to a brawl. Overall, the build for Priest and Gunther has been very good. I just think that this, again, it's hard to, and Priest is my boy. Like, I'm the one who praises Priest the most, and his title run has just been, it's been hard to watch some of it.
I don't think it's him. It's the creative decisions they make around him. Like, they're not doing any favors.
I think that's the problem, is just in general, they're like flip-floppy on him. And when you get that flip-floppy, like, oh, I'm a heel this week. Oh, I'm kind of not a heel this week. Oh, you think you're going to make me a babyface this week. Like, it just doesn't work.
You're the guy or you're not.
Yeah. Like, they need to make a decision about him being the guy. But, I mean, that overall, that was the go-home episode of Raw. As we've said before, we're excited about SummerSlam this year.
SummerSlam.
I think it's gonna be a very, as they say, a hot ticket. I think the kids still say that.
That's what the kids say. No, there's something about Riz.
Yeah, something. I don't know. So I heard someone called the Wizard of Oz the other day, and I don't know what that means.
Do you know what? You just got to call Pauly Shore up, and I think he gets it all still. I think it all derives from him.
That makes sense. So I just need to watch Encino Man.
Weasel. Yeah, and it's all there. We created it all. It's just the Weasel took it, and just no one paid attention anymore.
Oh, man. All right. With that said, guys, that has been this week's I Still Call It a Lariat. Showtime, thank you. It was great having you back. I don't know if you noticed, I put your name down here.
I see. He also said a lot of sweet things about me when I wasn't here. So I heard it. I listened to the last episode.
He's all right. He's a nice. He's doing his job at least.
I do what I can.
Legion, thank you again for listening as much as you do, for following us, for watching us. All of our social media stuff will be in the description. Thank you for joining us again this week. And we're trying our best to provide as much and the best content for you as humanly possible. So we will be having some big stuff coming up for you. We're looking to make this show even better and even bigger than it has ever been. But
any comments, suggestions, let us know in the area below. Talk to us. We'll talk back. In the
area below us, as we always say. But folks, I think it's past both our bedtime, so we are going to bid you adieu. Have a good night. And remember, tuck your chin when you bump.
Thank you all. We'll see you next time, or we'll see you another time.